Hi there, it's Liz Yule from Old Stables Crafts again. Thank you for joining me this morning. Well, for me it's this morning. It's overcast really in South Oxfordshire this morning. So I'm hoping that the light is okay. I might actually just throw one more light on the scene. Let's have a look. That may help a bit. I have got curtains drawn back, but we'll see how we go. Anyway, so this morning I am showing you this project. It's a fairly simple single layer card in that there's one layer on top of the card base. There are 3 stamp sets, but other than that it is fairly straightforward. So this was using So Saffron, Mint Macaron and Watermelon Wonder. This time I'm going to use a more masculine colour scheme with Pear Pizzazz, which I'm going to use as the card base as well as the main colour for the background, Always Artichoke and Night of Navy. Now I don't use Always Artichoke very much, so I'm going to find this one quite an interesting colour to use, I think, this time. So this uses a masking technique. Now for this version I cut a mask using the Lots of Labels framelets. And I actually chose the not quite biggest, so the one down from the largest label. Cut it just on some photocopy paper, and then with just a tiny weeny bit of snail on the back, which I then stuck to my clothes so that it took some of the sticky off. I just masked this area and then stamped over the top. This time I'm going to do it the other way round, so we'll end up with a white frame. So I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock to use as the base, and I'm actually going to do it this way because I find it easier to hold the stamp this way, and because it's photocopier paper and therefore quite thin, I can actually see through. You may not be able to, but I can see through, so I can line up the layer on my grid paper. This obviously is just rough over stamped tatty grid paper, but then I can line this up over the top and just make sure that's all square, and I will actually just bring in a tiny bit of washi tape. Washi tape is wonderful for things like this because it is removable, so it does mean that you've got a little bit of something holding it in place. And obviously last time I used snail underneath the mask, this time I can use washi tape on top. Right, I am using the hardwood background stamp, which is huge. This, if you get it in the clear mount rather than the wood mount, you will need an F block, so that's F for Foxtrot. It is huge. I mean, that's my hand. I don't have particularly small hands. I mean, they're not enormous, but they're not teeny, and as you can see, it is a huge stamp. So normally I would take my stamp to my ink pad, but because this is an enormous stamp, I will do it the other way up. So I'm going to make sure that this is well inked, and you always need to make sure that you are stamping on a flat surface, but particularly with these large stamps, you do need to make sure that you've got a good base underneath, because otherwise you will find that there are rocking points. So if I can actually hold this, I want it reasonably straight. I'm not too worried if it's not perfectly straight, because wood isn't, but I do want it reasonably straight because there are some lines on the stamp which will indicate if it's massively off. And then just even pressure, and because it's a big stamp, and for those of you that know me, I stand to craft, so this is standing on tiptoe and really pushing, and then lift it up and remove the mask, and we have that. So let's get rid of the mask and the tatty paper, although we may bring that in a moment. So there we are, we've got a nice picked something up. We've got a nice just masked off area. I will just waft that a little bit to make it dry a bit quickly. And while I'm doing that, I will just fold my Pear Pizzazz. No, that is actually not Pear Pizzazz. That is Wild Wasabi. So let's find a piece of. I seem to have Wild Wasabi coming out of my ears, and I think that's better. They are quite close in colour. And I do, on occasions, if I don't look carefully, get them confused. So there we are. Let's try Pear Pizzazz. So, that's that. Right, okay, so for the sentiments, I am using, as I did before, I'm using the Scenic Sayings. I used the Thank You So Much on the first version. I'm going to use Oh Happy Day this time. Oh Happy Day is actually really quite an easy stamp to use because it's on a skew anyway. So it does help to not have to worry too much about lining it up. Getting it the right way up, of course, is always a plan. This is the up. Because I don't stick the stickers on the back of my my stamps, I do have to make sure that I get it the right way up. So let's ink that up and make sure it's properly inked, because it is a fairly solid stamp. Pop that over the way. And then down, just make sure that's properly, because it's, as I say, a fairly solid stamp. Just want to make sure it's properly inked up, which it is, and properly stamped, which it is. So that's that. And then for the background, I'm going to bring in the rough paper again. I'm going to use Gorgeous Grunge. I am hoping this is going to carry over, because as you know, when the new annual catalogue comes out, we will lose some of our old favourites. So at the end of May, we will be saying goodbye to some. Don't know which ones yet, but hey, there we go. So this is Gorgeous Grunge. I have it on wood mount. I only have it on wood mount because I ordered it on wood mount by mistake. And I'm going to use the splatters and the sploshes. So the little splatters and the big sploshes. There are obviously others to choose from. And this is the Always Artichoke. That, as I say, I don't use very often. But I don't really want just this plain white background. For me, it's too white. And yeah, just too stark, I think. So I'm just going to fill that in. I think that will do for that. And then just a few, these I might actually, yeah, these I think I'll stamp off so that they're not too in your face. And just up at the top and down there, I think, just so that it looks a bit more mint. And nearly finished. Because I don't use that very much, it's quite stiff. Right, so I'm going to bring in, if I can find it, yep, my Night of Navy Baker's Twine. I used the black Baker's Twine before. This is the solid, obviously. Previously I used the ordinary Baker's Twine. And all I'm going to do is wrap it round the layer and get it reasonably straight. I'm not too worried at the moment because it's not stuck down. And then just tie that in a knot. And this is what in the UK we would call a reef knot. And in the States, I think it's called a square knot. So it's right over left and under, left over right and under, or other way round, depending on which one you start with. And I seem to be making a real meal of this, which is ridiculous. But there we are. And then just tie it in a bow. I like to do the knot first, particularly with the Baker's Twine, because otherwise you can find that it decides to undo itself. And at least if you've got a knot underneath, you know that if it comes untied, it doesn't matter because the whole thing won't just fall apart. Right, then just trim the ends. And I always think the key with trimming the ends of any bow are that your ends should be longer than your loops. So, yeah, put that away. And just a quick thing, I was going to show you if I use this and I decided not to. If you get your baker's twine on a card, and there are some that come in the kits which are on really small cards, you will see that you get these kinks. To get rid of those, if you just take your bone folder and run it along the length that you want to use a couple of times, you end up with a much straighter piece of baker's twine. So yeah, just a little hint and tip for you there. So just to fix this to the card, you can use snail, fast fuse. I'm going to use snail. You could put it up on dimensionals if you want, but I want this to be one of those cards that the post office doesn't have a fit over and charge you more postage for. So I'm not going to put this on dimensionals. And there you are. Really quick, really simple, really easy. So there we are. There's the two, the original and the new one. So a more female look and a more male look. Really quick, really easy. So hope you've enjoyed those. A couple of quick things to bear in mind. We are still in celebration until the end of March. If you are putting in a qualifying order, which is £45 or a multiple thereof, and you get an item for every £45 out of the 15 free items. If you're putting a qualifying order in, then jump onto my online store where there's a link below for that, to do that. We have been advised that if any of the celebration items run out between now and the end of March, they won't be restocked. So if there is something in particular that you want, now is the moment to put that qualifying order in. Don't leave it too much longer. Other things to remember are that the 2015-2017 in colours will be retiring at the end of May. So if you've already got ink pads in any of those colours, you need to start thinking about getting your refills so that you've got the ink for ever and a day. Otherwise, those will start to sell out. Some of them are already on back order, but they are being replaced. So anything in colour, so be that cardstock, ink, any of those things, the Stampin' Up markers, any of those things, you need to start thinking about getting those ordered. Say those will go by the end of May. So so do think about those. If you're putting in an order of £25 or more, please use my hostess code, which for the end of March, so for the rest of celebration, is UCCUKJFE. That is on my blog as well. There's a link to that below, and there'll be dimensions and what products I've used for this also in the on the blog from the link below. We're getting very close to 500 subscribers. And for those of you that have watched me before, you will know that when we hit 500, I will be doing a free giveaway, which will be for current product. So either now current product, or if it really takes until the new annual catalogue, then current product, but hopefully it will be before then. So if you aren't already subscribed, please subscribe. There'll be some links at the end of the video, and there's a link with my face, which is the subscribe button, so please hit that. If you use the hostess code and your order is over £25, you will automatically become a part of my VIP group, which means you get a newsletter with projects in that you won't see anywhere else. So they won't be anywhere else on my blog or on YouTube. And there are other nice goodies and things that you get by using the by joining the VIP crowd. If your order is over £150, please don't use the hostess code, but you'll still become a member of my VIP club. If your order is over £150, you get to be your own hostess, so don't use the hostess code for that. What else? Team, if you would like to join Stampin' Up team, please do. There's a link below to join my team. I've been busy packing up team welcome gifts this week, so very growing team, which is great. So if you want to join in with that, then that would be great. And during celebration, you get an extra 2 free stamp sets of your choice, as well as the £130 of product. So great time to join. And I think that's it. So have a super day. And I will see you very, very soon. Thank you very much indeed. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. See you soon. Bye.